Hello folks, welcome to our canal channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how to replace the rear brakes on a 1958 to 1964 Volkswagen Beetle or 1958 to 1964 Karmann Ghia. And this is most common for all the bugs that the system looks like this. Brake shoes is going to help you as well. So we're going to do the replacement of brake shoes, springs, and show you how we do a little bit of the adjustment on the brakes, so that way you get an idea how you can do it yourself, save a lot of money, so you don't have to take it to our shops. And with that said, let's jump right into it. So now what we have done is we have lifted our car, set it on jack stands, and now we have taken off the wheel for the driver's side. And what we're doing is we're gonna extract our drum, and for that we have to remove the cutter pin, the holes, the nut from spinning off, and we took off the nut. And now what we can do is we can pull straight out or drum, because there's a splines here, there's gears that this is the drive shaft into the drum, so you gotta pull it straight out. Same mechanism in the passenger side, the cutter pin and the nut. That's what we took off so far. So as we're doing the replacement of these brake shoes, we're gonna take our drum to get it turned, so that way it's a brand new surface for the new brakes that are gonna be here. So now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna remove the upper spring, then we're gonna remove the bottom spring, and then we're gonna remove these securing points towards the backing plate, which is washers with springs, so it keeps tension, and so it pulls them always against the backing plate. So now to take these guys off, what we need to do is we need to push with our tool, push against it and turn, so we can line up the cut with the clip so it comes out. So as you're pushing in and turning to line up this, you want to make sure that you hold the little rod, that it doesn't slide in, so you're able to push and turn. And then at the same time with your other hand you push it inwards, because that rod comes through the back. So as you took off the spring with this clip or washer, you want to push that through and get it through the back so it comes out. So now that we have taken off the lower spring, the upper spring, and the tie down point to the backing plate, we can pull this brake shoe, and all it is, there's a plate here which keeps this is the one that keeps the separation so it doesn't collapse in the upper part. So we can take this brake shoe out towards the front. We just gotta slide it in an angle. Now we can remove this plate, just pull it forward, and the wider part goes towards the back and the narrow part goes towards the front like this. So now that we have removed the plate, we have to remove the securing point that holds the brake shoe against the backing plate. So now all we have to do is just go remove the brake shoe from there, but it's attached to the e-brake still with this hook right here. So you can unhook it from here and then remove it. Now that we have taken out the brake shoe, we're gonna have to remove this plate and transfer it to the new one, to the new brake shoe. So now that we have removed the clip, we just remove this rod with the plate. You gotta remember how this goes into the new one like this, so that way you don't lose you don't put a different angle. So you pull it off, and we're gonna be replacing this one as well, because we bought it with a kit to replace this one as well. So now all we need from here is just this leg. Here's everything that we have taken off, and the only things that we're gonna keep is this plate and that plate. Everything else is going to be replaced. So we're replacing, this is what we're installing. There's two springs on this for one side. One of these springs for one side, the other ones is for the other side. And driver and passenger, driver, passenger, driver, passenger, passenger, driver, two of those for driver and two of those for passenger. One of these is for the driver and one for the passenger. And these require these little clips for the passenger and the driver. So this is what we're installing on both sides to replace the hardware. And here are the brake shoes that we're replacing, brand new. Old stuff that we took off, plus the brake shoes, new stuff. So what we're using is the only things that were kept from the car is the plate in the middle, the e-brake, and everything else is new. Brake shoes, springs, securing point, pins, especially this pin for the e-brake right there. So we're gonna install everything now. One thing is that when you're putting this clip, when you put in this holding rod, the original one goes like this, and you're replacing that one because it's rusted, it might be old, so you take it out and then you put the new one in there, but you don't pay attention to the length. So you gotta be careful. These are the new ones that come in the kit. There's two different lengths, as you can see. This is the one that was in the car. We're replacing that one. But if you put the longer one, even this one looks a little longer than normal. So if you put any of these and they're a little too long, this is what's going to happen. Because they come in the kit, they might make some trouble for yourself. As soon as you put this guy in here, you secure brake shoes and everything, and then you put your drum back in, and as soon as you try to spin it, it's gonna hit here and it's gonna bend it like it happened to us. We bent it one, and then we had to take everything apart because we had heard some grinding or hitting something, and it was this guy. So if you're replacing brake shoes, make sure that this, before you take it out on the road or anything, make sure that these are not too long, because these can cause internal problems if you don't look for this. Okay, so this is just an experience what happened to us with this kit. It comes with two different lengths, so we're gonna put the shorter one so we can avoid this. So now you grab your brake shoe that is gonna be for the e-brake handle, and then you get your rod and you try to push it through, but it won't go through. And what's happening, so what's happening is that when they made this and they painted it, they put excessive paint in there, so you're not gonna be able to push it in. So what we have done is this trick for this specific job, for this, for the Volkswagen, this rod, so it can fit here. And this is what you do: is you grab a 5/16 groove it, and what we're gonna be doing is by hand, we're just gonna turn it and try to get it through, so we can get all the excessive paint around, so this guy can go through it and it's gonna go through in a tight fit. So now that the rod goes through, we're gonna put it in from the inside out. That's how we're gonna do it today. And then we're gonna put a e-brake little leg here, and then we're gonna put the clip that secures this in the little handle there. So this is how, so when we take the drum off, we can see the clip here next time. So this is how we're doing it ourselves. So now that we have put the rod, the leg, and this clip, so what we're gonna be doing, we have to tighten this from one side, compress it, so it chokes into the groove right there, so it prevents the rod from sliding out, and it keeps everything on place. So now we just compress this in. We just want to show you a quick scenario about the adjustment that we're going to be doing later on for the brakes. And what this guy does is, as we spin this star or this gear with the screwdriver, this guy is threaded into that, so the brakes fall in here, and then it pulls straight out. This doesn't turn, but this guy turns. But right now we're going to show you how it would come out when you start spinning this guy. You see how it spins, but there's a locking device here that prevents it from spinning. So now what we do is we have to guide our brake shoe into the upper piston to guide it on the groove, and then the bottom. But first we have to hook this into the e-brake cable, and then put it in the secure it towards the backing plate. So now we have put the rear brake shoe. So now what we do is we put the other brake shoe with the plate that goes around here to spread out the brake shoes, and then we put the securing point for the backing plate, and then the springs that go from each brake shoe to another brake shoe. So when you're putting this plate in, the longer cut goes towards the e-brake arm, and the shorter cut, this other side, goes in the inner side towards the brake shoe. So it would go like this. So you can see that hugs both of the brake shoe, and that arm fall right in there in those grooves. So it keeps them together. And then the other groove is for the other brake shoe in the front. So now we grab our brake shoe, and there's a cut right in one side of the brake shoe that goes towards the groove or the plate. And then we have to line up the top into the groove of the piston. That's for the pedal, the regular brakes. And then this one, it goes into the adjustment into the bottom. So we have to line up 1, 2, 3 spots. Line them up. Once it's lined up, we get a securing point to the backing plate. So now we install the upper spring, which it came on kind of like a pinkish color. We install it on this side first, and then we pull it, and we put it right into that hole. So now we're going to install this one, the spring that goes from here to here, and is the longer one. So now we have finished the job of replacing these brake shoes with the hardware. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to clean with a brake cleaner, so we get all the oil off of it, and then we're going to put our drum, which is being resurfaced, on, and then we're going to be doing the adjustment for the brakes. We're going to show you how the e-brake works. So now here we have our drum, which is being resurfaced. So we just install it, and then we do the adjustment on the brakes. So now to adjust these brakes, we have to use this hole. We're going to have to feed it with a screwdriver and turn the brass gear, and one has to go down, one has to go up to spread them open with one at a time. And if you don't, if you just install them, you don't adjust them, there's going to be too much gap, too much space between the drum and the brake shoe, that when they try to touch, and due to the momentum, it's going to pull the brake shoe, and it probably can damage some equipment here. So you want to have them to where they're touching and there's just barely friction on them. So that way, when you touch the brake shoes, they already have some friction going, and then slowly they make more pressure against the drum. You don't want to just put them on and leave it like that. There's the adjustment that needs to be done now. So now for the adjustment on these brakes, this side has to go down and this side has to be spun upwards. So we want to expose that this is out a little bit now after turning it a couple of times. This still in because we haven't touched it. We are actually pushing the brake shoe away from this component, so that's making it touch the drum. So that's how you adjust this guy in the back. So you turn it downwards. So down here, right where the gear is, there's a sheet metal, and that's falling right into each gear groove to keep it from spinning more than they should. So that's giving tension so that star deal doesn't spin. Plus with the brake shoe tension from the spring that's keeping trying to pull in, that's helping for this thing not to turn. So this little sheet metal here is preventing this from spinning. So that's why it takes some effort to spin it. So we're going to show you what we mean by that. So this is how much those things came out, the adjustments from each side. So now we're gonna put everything back together. We wanted to expose how much adjustment we did. We had to do it with the drum end, so that way we calculate and we start feeling the drums as it spins in there. So now that we've done that, we put everything back together, tighten it, put the clip, put the tire back on. So now we have finished adjusting these brakes. So what we haven't done is we haven't put the nut in there because we thought we were gonna have to remove the drum. But now we have put everything, uh, adjusted them to what we think is good. We're gonna go for a drive once we put everything together and then come back and check it. It's been secure, so now we just put our tire back on. Well, folks, hopefully this video was useful on how to replace the rear brake shoes on a 1958 to 1964 Volkswagen Bug or karmann Ghia. So this also might help you on the other models that have brake shoes on the rear. But this is specifically was for 58, 64. And the one component, and one thing about this is take your time when you're doing this, and when you take the wheels off, don't take both sides apart. Do one side and have the other one as a reference, so that way you can go back and forth and then finish one and then continue with the other one, so that way you don't get lost. And then the most important part about this is that make sure that you compare components before you start putting stuff together, because you might have those clips or those rods a little bit longer than the other ones, and that might hit the drum when it spins. So you want to make sure, you want to watch out for that. And then make sure you adjust your brake shoes once you are done, and have an adjustment to where you have some friction in there, and then go for a test drive and then go slow, and then that way you can start getting those brake shoes to work, and that way you can feel if it's doing its job or you having some trouble. So just take your time, and you can do it, so that way you don't have to take it to shops and save a lot of money. So with that said, folks, for friends who are watching the video, haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like a video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal El Chano Jose.